Hello everyone, we are here with binomial distribution where that is a very important topic for the probability. We are going to take the concepts here and mainly we are going to do the questions on the mean, variance and standard deviation. Right, we'll be taking the questions from R.D. Sharma and the questions will be competency based and a step by step marking scheme will be given to you. Right, so let's start with it. Already here is the definition of the term and the understanding of the term related to the binomial distribution. We have already discussed all this in our video that we had only on binomial probability distribution. Right? So you can just go through it. That binomial needs, let's have a simple recap of this, and for a better understanding you can watch that video. So binomial means it should have only two outcomes, pass or fail. Yeah, success or failure. Right, it should have fixed number of observations. Each observation should be independent and each observation should represent one of the two outcomes. Either you are getting a success or you are getting a failure. So the probability of success P which will be representing is same for each outcome. Right, so this was the definition of the binomial distribution. Now the next we have the two important parameters which will be very useful for this video as well. That is N and P. The two important parameters are always N and P. Whenever they ask you to find the parameters of binomial distribution, that is we have to find N and P. Now binomial distribution formula that we have is NCR P raised to R into Q n minus R, where P and Q may, what is the relation? P plus Q is always 1. So Q is 1 minus P. What is Q? Q is probability of failure and P, what is P? Probability of success. Correct? This relation is very important here. You'll be using it a lot for mean variance. Now for mean and variance, the simple formula which we had already discussed in the previous uh, lecture also. Now here we have mean is mu is n dot p, that is n into p, variance is n into p into q, and standard deviation is square root of npq. Now this is very important for MCQs, for competency based questions and for subjective questions as well, right? So that is what I said, you have to be very clear with these three: mu, variance and standard deviation. Mu means mean or expected value. Variance, rho square, that is the product of n, p and q, and standard deviation is square root of n, p, q. Right? So just remember that mean is also known as expected value of x. Variance is npq. Q is 1 minus p. So this formula can also be written as np 1 minus p. And standard deviation is always square root of variance. Just important relations that we have. Correct? Now, let's move on with the few questions which are very important. Now, can the mean of binomial distribution be less than variance? So you just try to think. What is the formula of mean? So mean is NP. What is variance? Variance is NPQ, right? Variance is NPQ. Now, this is NP and this is NPQ. Now, what's the relation between the two? It will depend on what? It will depend on the value of Q. NP and NPQ, they are in product. Now, we know that Q is always less than 1 because it is the probability. Probability of any object cannot be greater than 1. It can be 1 if it is only that is a sure event, then it can be 1, but it can never be greater than 1. So it has to be less than 1. So if you divide any number by less than 1, are you going to get the answer greater? No, you are not going to get the answer greater. Right? You are going to get the answer lesser. So NPQ means you are dividing some NP or multiplying some NP with a number less than 1. So that is why Q is less than 1. That is why NP will always be greater than NPQ. And the reason is that Q is always less than 1 because it is the probability of failure. And probability always lies between 0 and 1. Correct? So NP will always be greater than NPQ. That's a simple question, logical question. MCQ के लिए best question. Now, determine the binomial distribution whose mean is 9 and variance is 9 by 4. Now these all are MCQs. As I said, they are very important, competency based. They can give you some example and say, is it possible or not? They can give you a real life situation also and say, mean is this and the variance is this. Find the binomial distribution and all, right? So now mean means NP, which is given as 9. Variance means NPQ, which is given as 9 by 4. So let's find Q first. Let's substitute the value. So 9 into Q. So what is Q? 1 by 4. So what will be P? As I told you, the formula that we'll be using a lot is V plus Q is 1. So that is how we use it. Now what will be N? N will be Q upon P. Sorry. 9 upon P. So 9 upon 3 by 4. So which will be 12. Now we have to find the binomial distribution. Binomial distribution means that we have to find that NCR formula. Okay, now let's frame the formula for this. So binomial distribution will be about 12CR P raised to R Q raised to N minus R, right? If I write N here, suppose. So let's replace the values now. 12CR 1 by 4 raised to R 3 by 4 raised to 12 minus R. So it will all depend on R value then. So this is our binomial distribution. So whenever they ask you to find the binomial distribution, you have to write this formula. And what will be your R? Your R will range from 0, 1, 2, 3 till 12. So in all, you will have 13 terms. Correct? 13 possibilities for the R. Correct? Now let's move on to the next. Determine the binomial distribution whose mean is 9 and variance is 6. So now you can do it very fast. NP is 9. NPQ is 6. So Q will be 6 upon 9. That is 2 upon 3. So what will be P? P will be 1 upon 3. What will be N? N will be 27. So what will be our binomial distribution? So binomial distribution will be, if I write it directly, 27CR 1 by 3 raised to R 2 by 3 raised to 27 minus R, where R will be ranging from 0, 1, 2, 3 till 27. This is how do we move on with these questions, and they are perfect for 1 mark choice. That is why they are very important. Correct? Now let's move to the next. If the sum of mean and variance of a binomial distribution is 4.8 for 5 tries, find the distribution. Now here again what's given to you? Sum of mean and variance of a binomial distribution is 4.8. Sum दिया है आपको. NP plus NPQ is given to you 4.8, and for 5 tries means your N is 5. I repeat, your N is 5. Let's put the values then. 5P plus 5PQ is equal to 4.8. Now there is one more relation that you have with you. P plus Q is 1. Now let's try this and work it out. Now let's move on with it. So how can we do it? 5P common, so we get 1 plus Q here. Now P is 1 minus Q. So let's put it P as 1 minus Q. 5 we will take to the other side. So 4.8 upon 5. So let's cancel it out. Here we get 24. Here we get 25. Now 1 minus Q square is 24 upon 25. Right? Now 1 minus 24 upon 25 is Q square. So this implies your Q square is 1 by 25. So Q is 1 by 5. We cannot take minus 5 because probability can never be negative. You have to write it there. Minus 1.5, not possible, because probability cannot be negative. Now if Q is 1 by 5, so what will be your P? Your P will be 4 by 5. What will be your N? 5 already given. So now let's make it out a binomial distribution. So your binomial distribution will be 5CR 4 by 5 raised to R 1 by 5 raised to 5 minus R. So this will be your binomial distribution, where R will be from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can write all numbers, it's okay. Otherwise, you can make dot, dot, dot. Right till the last number. Now let's move on to the next. Now here we have to determine the binomial distribution whose mean is 20 and variance is 16. Now I think this question is simpler for you all. So NP is 20, NPQ is 16, right? So let's put the value. So Q will come out to be 16 by 20, which is 4 by 5. So your P will be what? 1 by 5. Now what will be your N? N will be 20 into 5, that is 100. Now what will be your binomial distribution? Your binomial distribution will come out to be 100 CR 1 by 5 raised to R and 4 by 5 raised to 100 minus R. This will be your final answer. Right? So these are the questions which are meant for perfect 1 mark, remember. And marking scheme is for the formula for finding the values, half mark, and then they give you. And if it's an MCQ, direct 1 mark you get. Now the next question is, in a binomial distribution, the sum and product of the mean and variance are so and so. Find the distribution. So here the sum and product of the mean and variance is given to you, students. So NP plus NPQ is given to you 25 by 3. And the product of the two is given to you as 50 by 3. Now the simplest thing is substitution that we can do here to find the value of N, P, and Q, because we have to find all three values because we need to find the distribution. Right? Now let's find the value. So if we substitute the value, we can easily do it. So NPQ ka value, let's substitute. So from the first equation, what will be the value of NPQ? So NPQ will be what? 25 by 3 minus NP. Right? That will be the value of NPQ. Now let's substitute. In equation 2. So NP 25 by 3 minus NP is equal to 50 by 3. So what will you get? 25 by 3 NP minus N square P square is equal to 50 by 3. Now we can do the middle term splitting or the quadratic formula to solve it, where NP we can take as one variable. Right? So minus 25 by 3 NP is equal to 50 by plus 50 by 3 is equal to 0. Now we have to simply solve it, right? So by taking the LCM, what will you get? We will get simply 3NP whole square minus 25 NP plus 50 is equal to 0. So 53 is 150. 150k, if you do the factors, it can be 15 and 10. So 3NP whole square minus 15NP minus 10NP plus 50. So let's make it 3NP common. So NP minus 5 here. So we get two answers. NP is 5 and NP is 10 by 3. Now we have to check which is the possible value. So if I take NP as 10 by 3. Okay, now let's work it out. So if NP is 10 by 3, what will you get? The value of Q. Okay. Now let's put it in this equation. The value of NP. So NP is 10 by 3. So Q 25 by 3 minus 10 by 3. So what will you get? Q as 15 by 10. Okay, 3 cancels out. So you get the answer as 3 by 2. Is it possible? The probability to be greater than 1? No. Probability can only be less than 1. Okay, now let's work it out. So this is not possible. Now NP is 5. Let's put it in the equation. So 5q is equal to 25 by 3 minus 5. So let's work it out. So q will be 10 by 15, which is 2 by 3. That's possible. So q is 2 by 3, p will be 1 by 3, and your n will be 15. And with this, you can write the binomial distribution as 15cr, then 1 by 3r, and then 2 by 3 raised to 15 minus r. This will be your final answer. Right? So this is how do we do. And these are important questions for the exam. Competency based, where you need a little bit of thinking and calculations. Direct rote learning questions won't be there for the board exams. Now the mean of a binomial distribution is 20 and the standard deviation is 4. Calculate the parameters now. Now parameters, as I have told you, there are two parameters, n and p. So that is what we need to find. So the mean is 20. So np is 20. Standard deviation is 4, therefore variance will be 16. So NPQ is 16. So what will be Q? Q will be 16 by 20, that is 4 by 5. So P will be 1 by 5, which gives you N as 20 into 5, that is 100. So the two parameters are N and P. So that is 100 comma 1 by 5. So the two parameters, the parameters that are needed, we don't need Q for finding, though we have found it. But N comma P के terms में ही parameters लिखे जाते हैं. So the answer will be 100 comma 1 by 5. And if someone asks you to write the binomial distribution, then you write it like this. Otherwise, the parameters are N and P. Now let's move on to the next. If the probability of a defective bolt is 0.1, find the mean and standard deviation for the distribution of defective bolts in a total of 400 bolts. So probability of defective bolt is 1 by 10. So non-defective, which is your P. What will be your Q? Your Q will be 9 by 10. That is, you are not getting a defective bolt. What is your N? N is 400. Now what's the question? Your question is finding mean. So mean is NP. So that is 400 into 1 by 10, which gives you the answer 40. Now variance, first we will find for standard deviation. Your variance is NPQ. So that is 40 into 9 by 10. So that comes out to be 36. So what's your standard deviation, which is square root of variance? That is 6 is your answer. Right? So this is what you have to think of and get the answers. Correct? Now the next is find the binomial distribution whose mean is 5 and the variance is 10 by 3. So NP is 5 and the variance is NPQ, which is 10 by 3. Right? Now what will be Q? Q will be 10 by 3 divided by 5, which comes out to be 2 by 3. So what will be P? P will be 1 by 3. So what will be N? N will be 5 into 3, that is 15. Now, if someone asks you the binomial distribution will be a simple thing. 15 CR, 1 by 3 raised to R, 2 by 3 raised to 15 minus R. That will be your binomial distribution. Just check everyone. Is it clear? Now, if on an average 9 ships out of the 10 arrive safely to ports, find the sum of the mean and standard deviations of the ships returning safely out of a 500 ships. Now we have to find the sum of mean and standard deviations. Now, average is given 9 out of 10 arrive safely. So probability of safely arriving ships. 9 out of 10, so that will be our P. Probability of non-safely arriving ships, 1 by 10, that will be our Q. What will be our N? 500 ships. So your mean will be what? NP. That is 500 into 9 by 10, which will be nothing but 450. What will be your standard deviation? For that we need variance. So that is NPQ, which is 450 into 1 by 10. that is 45. Now standard deviation is square root of 45, which will come out to be around 6.71. So that will be your standard deviation, right? So this is how do we go with it. Now the next is find the mean. The mean and variance for the parameters n and p are 16 and 8. You have to find these three values. Now this is for this first, you will find the values of n and p, and then using the formula, you will be finding these values. So your NP is given what? 16. Your NPQ is given what? 8. So your Q will be what? 1 by 2. Your P will also be 1 by 2. Your N will be 32. Right? By solving the equations. Now, X is equal to 0. So, 12, sorry, 32 C0, 1 by 2 raised to 0, 1 by 2 raised to 32. So, your answer will be 1 by 2 raised to 32. That will be your final answer. Of course, you will not calculate and simplify it. Now, the next is X is equal to 1. So, 32 C1, 1 by 2 raised to 1, 1 by 2 raised to 31. Right? Now, how will you solve it? 32 C1 will be how much? Yes, 32. Correct. Upon 2 raised to 32. So, what is 32? 2 raised to 5. So, 2 raised to 32. So, what will you get? 1 upon 2 raised to 27. That will be your final answer. Now, X is equal to 2 and greater than. Now, greater than equal to 2 means you can also do 1 minus X is equal to 0 plus X is equal to 1. Correct? So, 1 minus X is equal to 0 is how much? 1 by 2 raised to 32 plus 1 by 2 raised to 27. Right? So, we can take the LCM and solve it. So, what will you get? 2 raised to 32 if you take the LCM. So, 2 raised to 32 minus 1 minus 32. Right? So, what will you get? 2 raised to 32 minus 33 upon 2 raised to 32. That will be your final answer. Correct? So this is how do we solve these questions. So these are very simple questions which are based on mean and variance, but very important for case studies, competency based questions as well. In 8 throws of a die, 5 or 6 is considered a success. Find the mean number of dice and the standard deviation. They can ask you after that, find the sum of standard deviation and mean. They can ask you after that, find the product of standard deviation and mean. Right? So let's find out first the probability of success, that is 5 or 6. That is 2 by 6, that is 1 by 3, that will be your P. So what is Q? Q is 2 by 3. What is your N? 8. Now tell me, what will be your mean? Your mean will be NP, that is 8 by 3. What will be your variance? Your variance will be NPQ, 8 by 3 into 2 by 3, that is 16 by 9. So what will be your standard deviation? That will be square root of 16 by 9, that is 4 by 3. Right? So that will come out to be 4 by 3. If they ask you the sum for the mean and variance, just add them. If they ask you the product, just do the product. Otherwise, this will be your final answer. Now, find the expected number of boys in a family with 8 children, assuming the sex distribution to be equally probable. That is, the probability of getting a boy, correct, in a family is 1 by 2, and the probability of getting a girl is also 1 by 2. That is not boy. So this is your P and this is your Q. What is your N? N is given to you 8. Correct? Now expected number of boys. Expected means mean, and that is NP. N is 8 and it is 1 by 2. So that is 4. Correct? So this is the expected number of boys. As I said, expected means mean. So that is a simple one line answer. The probability is 0.02 that an item produced by a factory is defective. Shipment of 10,000 items is to be sent to its warehouse. Find the sum of the expected number of defective items and the standard deviations. Now let's find the mean first. So let's write the initials first. So Q, P and N. So N is 10,000. P will be what? 0.02. That is, I can write 2 by 100. So your Q will be 98 by 100. Now expected value is equal to mean. So that will be what? NP. So N is 10,000, P is 2 by 100, right? So let's cancel out. So it's 200. Now what will be a variance? For standard deviation, first we need to find the variance. So 200 into 98 by 100. Let's cancel the zero. So 196. Now standard deviation will be square root of 196, that is 14. Right? Now the sum of mean and standard deviation, that comes out to be 200 plus 14, that is 214, right? So that will be the simple answer. So don't think these are always advisable questions to be attempted. 100% you should attempt them in the exam and you will get the full marks. A die is thrown thrice. A success is 1 or 6 in a throw. Find the mean and variance of the number of successes. So die is thrown thrice. So P will be what? 1 or 6. So 2 by 6. Because when we throw a die, 6 numbers are possible. Now Q will be 2 by 3. 2, 3, 4 and 5 is not our success. It's our failure. Right? So what will be the mean? So mean will be NP. So 3 into 1 by 3, that is 1. What will be your variance? Your variance will be nothing but NPQ. So that is 1 into 2 by 3. That comes out to be 2 by 3. Right? So these were the questions from the R.D. Sharma for the applied maths. So you can easily solve these questions and get full marks for the topic. Right? So solve it and clearly understand it. And if you have done so, please like, share and subscribe. Okay. Thank you everyone.